What's going on, Belicious? So the farmers are very, very upset. Well, I'll wait for that to load. Farmers face huge impact from Trump's USAID freeze. Oh, this ain't no article. It's just we gotta wait on this load thing. Oh, of course, these foods are in Kansas too. It's interesting how all of this stuff changes. I used to watch my mom watches,
International lead American businesses feeling the
and here I am, an adult myself, and I just watch the news outside of TV shows. I just watch the news. What up, Jay?
squeeze from the economy. They're dealing with rising inflation, hitting 3% for the first time since last June.
Damn. I wonder where my other nephew's at, because I was talking to my other nephew. He was telling me people are scared of change, and he voted for Donald J because he thought that Donald J was gonna make the interest rate and everything go down. And I was telling them everything. I was laying out the facts to him that it wasn't. It was only gonna get worse. And well, look at us. And he was telling me a box. I forgot what his favorite cereal was, but a box of his favorite cereal up under Biden, he said was like $6. Guess what? I asked him, I said, how much is that cereal box now? That cereal is now $8. It was $6. He said, I remember when because he joined the military, he was like, man, I remember when I first started buying cereal, it was like $4. I was like, yeah, well, every year, everything's always going to go up. And then it was like the $6 last year before the election. And he was like, yeah, I voted for Trump because, he's saying he's going to do this with the groceries and everything. I said, man, that motherfucker's a liar, nephew. He ain't going to do nothing that he's talking about. So I hit him up last week because, I got to troll him. I say, hey, how much that cereal costs? He said, man, that shit like $8. I said, I told you. I said, them interest rates ain't went down, had they? He's like, nah, man, they ain't went down. I said, I told you. This guy is a liar. He is a criminal, a 34-time convicted felon. He owes $468 million to the state of New York for tax fraud, inflating and deflating. This guy is a criminal. But hey, I'm just a black guy that reads up on things. Raisin Bran or whatever it's called. CJ, no.
There was also, of course, President Trump's tariffs on steel and aluminum that could result in increased U.S. manufacturing costs, and the president's attempts to slash USAID, the main agency that oversees foreign aid. That is having a big blowback when it comes to the American farmer. The U.S. government, after all, bought more than $2 billion in food aid from American farmers back in 2020. Now about $340 million worth of food assistance reportedly is on hold amid the president's freeze. That's leaving the nation's farmers, many of whom voted for Mr. Trump, in limbo. It even has some Republicans sounding the alarm. Republican Senator Jerry Moran of Kansas recently tweeting, time is running out before this life-saving aid perishes.
Let's read the whole thing. He said, I urge Secretary Rubio to distribute the $340 million in American-grown food currently stalled in U.S. ports to reach those in need. Now, the food that these farmers and stuff are sending it out. Now, the government buys this and they use it as the aid to send to other countries. But that's how the farmers eat. The only problem is Trump froze all of it. So now these farmers, because you got to remember, a lot of our food that we get here, there's only a certain amount of products that we actually grow here in the States. Like you got your corn, of course, that's out in Kansas. You got your Florida oranges and shit like that. But a lot of this food that you eat is imported from other countries. Now we're getting tariffs on there. That's 25% on almost everything that they bring it in. So these farmers are dependent on this USAID to buy their food and send it to these other countries. But guess what? That ain't going to work because they believe that sending money and food to other countries is a bad thing. When in reality, it's a good thing for us. but they're freezing everything, and we're just going to see everything climb through the roof.
It's currently stalled in U.S. ports, he said. Joining us right now from Cortland, Kansas is Nick Lewandowski. He's the executive director of the Kansas Farmers Union. Nick, thanks for joining us. Can you explain, if you can, how American farmers work with USAID and what the impact of what's been going on in Washington this last week or so has been?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jake. And the impact that it has on farmers is huge. But farmers are really just the starting point when it comes to this food aid. They're the ones that grow these crops here in Kansas and all over the country. Primarily wheat and grain sorghum here in Kansas are the main products that are used in this food aid. They then sell that grain to their local grain cooperative elevators or to a grain merchandiser. And then USAID would go in and put out contracts for bid to get that grain and then take it to these ports and then move it out to those places in need all across the world. And of course, when USAID was frozen last week, that all stopped. That came to a screeching halt.
Now, you see the crazy thing, the contradiction of all this? These farmers, the same ones that voted for Trump, stop sending our money to the Ukraine, stop sending money to these other countries. But now that your shit's frozen at the docks, at the ports, now you talking about, hey, free it up. No. Stop sending our food to other countries. You see what I'm saying? They'll go with, hey, stop sending our money to the Ukraine. When we're not sending money, it's mostly military aid, old weapons and artillery and shit of that nature, training. But when it comes to them, now they're out here crying, talking about, hey, send our, no. Keep our food here in America. Don't send it nowhere else. Just like you don't want to send money, all that food you guys are getting, the tax cuts you get for owning farms, no, let that shit sit out there and rot. Don't send it to another country. Keep it here in America. Keep it here. Why are we deporting people? Why are we going to send food? Why y'all want to send food everywhere else, but y'all want to deport people? But then again, the farmers don't want to deport people because guess what? Their crops, they're not coming through. See, it's just ignorance. It's overall ignorance. They don't know what the hell they talking about. Oh, we're sending all this money. And we're going to get on you, Elon, because your dumb ass, you ain't saving no money, fool. And all you idiots, yeah, I'm calling you an idiot. All you idiots that think you're going to get $5,000 from the money that they saving, how? But I'll break that down in a minute. And I want anybody to try to say, oh, dirt, just shut up. You're a god-darn idiot if you think you're going to get $5,000. You could barely get $1,200 during the pandemic. You think you're going to get $5,000? I tell you, man, people are just...
And grain sorghum farmers, especially here in Kansas, were the first to get hit with that because the USAID program, Food for Peace program, was the main direct market for their grain.
This comes at a time, of course, when farmers are already struggling.
Yes, they are. Right now, we're looking at all-time historic lows for commodity prices. When I say commodities, I mean the crops that farmers grow. But we're also looking at all-time high input costs. So the seed costs, as farmers are getting ready to plant this spring, their seed costs are exceedingly high, but so are the chemicals and the fertilizers, but also the fuel that they need, and then the equipment that it takes to run. And you throw in a steel tariff now that we have, that just drives up the price of that equipment because there's a lot of steel that goes into farm equipment.
2024 CNN exit poll showed President Trump winning rural voters by a huge margin, 64% for Trump, 34% for Harris. Many of these rural voters are from farm-driven communities. What are you hearing?
What I'm saying, they voted against their own interests? Exactly. But he said all of this. Everything that he's doing, he said all of it. Of course, Project 2025, they say he ain't a part of it. He may not be a part of it. Wink, wink. But he's hiring everybody that is a part of it. Hell, if we got time, I got some shit for Cash Patel's trash ass. But this is what you guys wanted. This is what you guys wanted. So now we see all these rural voters. Oh yeah, Trump, man, he's gonna make America great, man. He's gonna get rid of the illegals. You need the illegals. That's the only way you can afford and keep the overhead good, because you're paying them $4 or $5 a day. But now, hey man, I don't want to hear any crying. If your food rots out there, hey, it rots out there, because guess what? This is what you voted for. You wanted this, you got it. I know everybody says, oh, Kamala wasn't going to do. I guarantee we wouldn't be looking like this. We wasn't like this up on the goddamn Biden. No matter what you feel, we weren't like this. It's been 1 month now, and every single day is some extra BS. Now they want everyone to come in to work because they're all playing tennis. Guess where Donald Trump was for the 3rd time this week?
From your members, are they sticking with Trump? Are they happy about this? Do they see a bright side at all?
Well, I'll tell you, our membership is pretty evenly split, fairly evenly split when it comes to politics. In fact, we might lean a little more to the left when it comes to some things. We're pretty progressive on a lot of our policies. But farmers, I think, are they're nervous, they're anxious. This is a real time of uncertainty for farmers, and they don't need any more uncertainty added to it. So when you start losing markets, when you start raising tariffs, it does cause some angst in the community. I think, farmers, for the most part, that supported Trump are going to continue to support him until they start hurting more. And nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants that. They didn't vote for these things. They didn't vote for food aid to stop going to hungry people all across the world. And they certainly didn't vote for tariffs that hurt their markets.
They certainly didn't vote for 500 tons of it to be rotting on in America's ports. Nick Lewandowski, thanks so much. Appreciate your time today, sir.
Thank you, Nick. We appreciate that, Nicholas. Let me see. We got one more thing as far as the farmers, and then we'll carry on. This one's PBS. This one might be a little bit longer than I thought it would be.
In the last 2 presidential elections, farmers voted overwhelmingly for Donald Trump. But now some farmers are saying his efforts to cut the government are causing major financial pressure. William Brangham has more.
Jeff,
Man, why I want to go full screen, man? Every time we get on here, they want to do some nonsense, some fugazi. There we go.
The biggest changes affecting farmers are a freeze on some USDA programs and a near shutdown of spending by USAID, which buys about $2 billion of products from farmers every year. About 40% of the government's food assistance comes from American farms. Others say they're on the hook for contracts for
But hey, remember, they don't want people on food stamps. They don't want people on WIC. That means the government ain't gonna buy it from you no more. Remember, that was one thing they voted for. Oh man, everybody living off of government assistance. That government assistant assisted your ass. The government was assisting you by buying food and product off of you so that people can buy it at an affordable price. Damn, that's crazy how that works, right? You don't want people on government assistance, but you want the assistance from them to buy your product. You want government assistance from them to send your product to people across the world because they're buying yours at a surplus. But you don't want the people that can't afford it to be able to get it off of government assistance. Hey, man, that's what they say. When Trump says he loves the uneducated, this is who he's talking about. I'm not saying like these farmers are like dummies or anything, but they aren't aware of really what's going on. They just hear what he's spewing, like, hey, we're going to get people off of government assistance. We're going to help everybody out. No, they're not. When they say government assistance, they mean all y'all foods. When you When you sell your food to the government, that's government assistance. The government doesn't have to buy from you. The government is going to buy from you because, excuse me, it's America's duty, and it's already in the budget that they got to send foreign aid out. No matter what president it is, they're going to send foreign aid out. Trump's talking all of that, but they sent $1 billion to Ukraine when he first got in office in the first week. So no matter who you are as a president, that is a requirement, because guess what? The president doesn't dictate the spending of America. Congress does, and they have an obligation to do that. So these farmers, oh man, yeah, man, Trump's getting all these black folk off of government assistance. Now you sitting here crying because your ass was on government assistance also. You're not selling all your crops to stores. They were sending your shit across seas in order to fulfill our not military, but our freaking aid that we send out across the globe. These are requirements, but they don't look into this. It's all surface level. So they're thinking they're going to get helped out, but in reality, you're not. Now, this is to say that I would know all of this. I didn't. I took a couple of economic classes, and that's how I really found out about it. You know, I went in for international trade. So for me, as far as like the aid that they're sending out, I knew about that, the USAID. I knew about that for at least like 10 years now. But I started reading more into the farmers, and I realized that when these farmers, when you go out there, you see them, all of their food isn't going to the market. It isn't going to the stores. A majority of it is getting bought by the government, and it's getting shipped off to other places. And that's where these tariffs and stuff come in, because some countries, obviously, they don't have the climate to grow certain products or certain produce like we do, just like how we get fruit from other countries. So I never knew all of that. But these farmers, all they know is we do this and the government buys it. They don't know what the next step is or what's behind that. They just know as long as we get this much, the government's going to buy this much. That's technically government assistance, but they don't know any of this. So now they're looking like, wait a minute. If he halts that, then we don't get anything. But we were also voting for Trump to not help out other countries and keep everything here in America. Well, guess what? If you keep all this shit here in America that they're buying off of you, it's never going to leave anywhere. And guess what? If it's frozen at the docks, that means your check is frozen because it didn't get sent anywhere. But they don't know none of this. They just voting because it sounds good. But now look at their ass. They crying. We didn't vote for this. Yeah, you did. This is exactly what you voted for. He told you everything he was going to do, and your dumb ass voted for it. So deal with it. Deal with it. What up, OT? What up, Candy, Mozzie? My bad, y'all. You know, I get passionate about this. Oh, I got a dozen eggs in the kitchen right now, OT. I got a dozen eggs in the kitchen right now. Ladies, hey, you come to Mo's crib, you eating good. What you want? You want 2 scrambled? What you want? Over easy? You come to Mo house, ooh, you living good. But don't get too comfortable. Don't get too comfortable. It's enough eggs to go around. You come to my crib, oh, it's a whole dozen in there. I just bought a dozen yesterday. Guess what I spent for a dozen? Yeah. 5, 40, 8. Oh, you come to my house. What you want? You want scrambled? You want some cheese in there too? I know you want them cheesy ones, huh? You gonna make them eggs cheesy with them grits or no? Oh, you want a little bit of pepper on there? All right. Now I might make you an omelet, girl. What you want? You want some peppers in there? Yeah, I like me some spicy omelet too. Let me get back to this live, because these damn farmers over here, they crying. They voted for Trump. Yeah, they voted for Trump. They crying right now. Yeah, all right, girl, go ahead. You can take 2 eggs home. Call me. All right, my bad, y'all. My bad. Them eggs are crazy. You know what I'm saying? They going crazy for eggs over here.
Renewable energy equipment that the government promised to help with. We talked to several people in this field, a flower farmer, a beekeeper, a produce farmer, and the CEO of a nonprofit that delivers food aid to children in Haiti.
slowly we've figured out that we've lost about a quarter to a third of our funding, and we have no sense of whether some of those pauses are permanent or temporary, or when that money can or will come in.
We've worked with USAID in several capacities in the past, usually through key partnerships we have on the ground in Haiti. And so with the absence of that, it really sets things back significantly.
If it goes past the next couple of weeks, we're really going to be in a tight spot. We're really probably going to have to either add more debt to our mortgage, or we're going to have to seriously consider closing up shop and not operating.
We received a grant from the government about a year ago, and that's when we signed this contract for a solar panel system on our new barn. We still owe about $36,000 to the solar company that was supposed to come from the government. We never would.
Damn, they got solar panels and they got a grant from the government. Trump came in there and said, no. We got a lot of stuff to cover, because all this stuff, they just put in for the new budget. Remember, they said no tax on tips. They said no tax on overtime. Guess what? When they put that new budget in, neither one of those was listed on the budget. Neither one was listed on the new budget. They just lied. But that's what politicians do. But guess what? That black lady that they said wasn't black, oh yeah, VP Kamala Harris, at least you wouldn't be out here on your farm crying. I guarantee that USAID would have went through. You had 4 years of no problems. Damn, crazy, right? See, a lot of people try to make it a black and white thing. Of course, you want black rights. You want to be able to, but at the end of the day, when it comes down to just right down the middle, like everyday survival, your food, we talking about the price of eggs. Them hens don't care if you black or white. They gonna lay them eggs, but that price, it's gonna go up. And if you white, you gonna pay that price. If you black, you gonna pay that price. But hey, I was arguing with some fool, tried to tell me that prices of eggs was like this up under Biden. Had to call him out. And every week, I just shoot a jab at him. Because one thing you're not going to be able to do, if you try to prove me wrong and I know I'm right, I'm on your ass for the rest of your life. That's just the way it is. This ain't no pause moment, because this is serious shit here. This is world economics. If you try to prove me wrong and try to clown me on something that I know I'm talking about, I'm on your ass. So don't worry. March 1st, I'll be back in Torian's Discord, and I'm going to tag that person, and I'm going to let them know. Eggs wasn't this high, were they, nigga?
Would have signed a contract with the government for these solar panels if we thought we'd be paying the full amount.
We're looking at about $40,000 in losses, and then about $20,000 in additional income we won't be able to make. So about $60,000 in loss as we calculate it right now, and then about $115,000 in potential grant funds that we now know we won't be receiving for 2025.
115,000. 36,000 that they own solar panels. Let's just put that at 150. The 20,000 that they not gonna get on the income, that's damn 170,000. And it's only February. And this gentleman's talking about they're gonna have to close up shop. They already hit over the head for 170 in February, people.
If this never goes through, we would look to lose about 45,000. And the impacts for us would be pretty detrimental. We're one of the larger winter grain growers in Maine, so we grow a lot of spinach, kale, and chard this time of year that helps them stock their shelves with fresh produce this time of year that can be hard to get in Maine. So what that means for them is they're going to run out of a supplier to have those options.
When funding that is dependent on at this level is cut so quickly, we underestimate the impact that it makes throughout the world, and the potential lives that may be lost and the talent that may be lost.
The fact that this business I've been building for 7 years, this career I've been building for 12, is now under attack by the people in the executive branch of the federal government who are supposed to look out for American interests and are instead looking out for the interests of the 1%.
Already, farmers are shrinking their businesses, and I'm really afraid about the future of farming if all these programs just go away.
For some further perspective on all of this, we are joined now by Nick Lewandowski. He's the executive director.
This man Nick been on a run, ain't he? He on a run. Nick, hey, you part of the farmers union. You better figure it out, Nick. Nick, look, let me tell you something, Nick. It's honorable what you're doing, but we heard you on the CNN. You said some of your policies y'all lean left, so that means you're mostly right. You need to take your ass to DC. You getting on PBS, CNN ain't gonna do a mother effing thing. You need to take your goofy ass to DC and figure some shit out. Because you getting on here with us, I'm not doing nothing but laughing at you. Because you look like one of them voters. And you in Kansas, so I know who you voted for. So you need to go down to Washington, D.C. You need to talk to your senators in Kansas. And you need to figure it out. Because PBS ain't going to help you. PBS, they paid. They paid, Playboy. So you need to go figure it out. That's what PBS stands for. Paid Playboy. Go figure that out. You on all these interviews in that same suit. You need to be downtown Julie Brown figuring it out. You in charge of the union. They crying. They need your help, Nicholas.
Director of the Kansas Farmers Union. Nick, thank you so much for being here. You heard all of those complaints that people are making about the way in which this federal cost cutting is unfolding and impacting them. How common is that to what you're hearing from your own members?
It's very common, William, and thank you for having me, and thank you for covering this important topic. I've had conversations here over the last couple of weeks now with members and farmers all across Kansas and frankly all across the country through the connections I have with National Farmers Union. And there is great concern all across the country, and it just adds more uncertainty to an already uncertain situation.
For people who may have been somewhat surprised that there was this connection between American farmers and USAID, can you sort of explain that broader mechanism, how it works?
Yeah, well, we take great pride in especially a certain part of USAID, the Food for Peace program here in Kansas. It was born here back in 1953, signed into law by another great Kansan, Dwight D. Eisenhower, in 1954. And it was brought about because we had a glut of commodities or grain crops here in the U.S. We were producing more than we needed and could consume. But there were also places all over the world, especially in Europe, that was just recovering from World War II. So we were sending those products over there. And since then, that program has fed upwards of 4 billion people in the 70-some years that it has been in existence. But farmers grow the crops here in Kansas, and they deliver that product to those places all across the world.
I mean, in addition to those financial stresses, there's also some other looming things coming down the road. I mean, there's inflation that they're obviously dealing with, commodities prices, et cetera. How much cushion do farmers have to weather this financial storm?
There's very little cushion. You mentioned the cuts that are happening, the freezes and all of those things. But those high cost inputs are what's really hurting right now. The seed, the chemicals, the fertilizers, the fuel that is needed, farm equipment is extremely expensive, and bankers are not loaning out tons of money to farm.
Speaking about farm equipment being expensive, I think it's John Deere. I was just watching a documentary on John Deere and how John Deere gets over. So they sell all of their equipment. I don't know, this is just random, but since we're talking about farmers. So what John Deere does is they sell all their equipment, and it's kind of like Tesla. Now, when something happens to your John Deere equipment, you can't fix it on your own. Now everything is electronic. They got to send a technician out. You can't even go to the shop and get one of the boxes to diagnose whatever's wrong with your vehicle. You have to send it in. So this is how they make billions on your vehicles breaking down. Just like Tesla, you got to take it to a certified Tesla mechanic. You can't just do it yourself or you void the warranty. John Deere does the same thing. And these farmers, they upset because they make like $2 billion just on repairs a year. And that's more than what they sell. It's crazy, man. But that's business.
Farmers right now. In fact, bankers are pulling back. And then you throw in the idea of more tariffs, a trade war, and then the cuts to positions at USDA just at the end of last week. Crucial positions in the Farm Service Agency offices, the NRCS offices that are all over the country. These are folks who are integral to American agriculture, and those positions are now gone, and people that were working in those offices have now had to pick up more of the slack.
we asked the White House about some of these criticisms, and this is the statement that they gave us. They wrote, the Biden administration crushed American agriculture with regulatory uncertainty, crippling inflation, trade imbalances, and radical environmental policies. Thankfully, President Trump is already delivering relief by unleashing American energy and cutting 10 regulations for every new regulation. He will continue to make all agencies more efficient to better serve the American people, including our hardworking farmers.
You hear that? They never answer the question directly. Hey, what are you going to do about the farmers? Oh, we're unleashing more energy. We don't need more energy, food. We need you to buy the food. It just, everybody in the White House is just a damn useless pawn. Every single person hired and appointed is a useless pawn. And it's going to take some serious fuck ups. Like, I'm talking about catastrophic, before the Republicans in the Senate come to their mind and Congress starts like, hell no, we got to start blocking this. It'll eventually happen. Watch. We'll start seeing the Republicans start voting with the Democrats because they like, oh, hell no, we can't let this go through. It's only going to be a matter of time, because these farmers, everyone that's suffering, these white folks, these quote unquote non-DEI hires, they're going to start getting affected, and people going to start looking out for their family members, and enough of them going to turn on Trump. Right now, they're in fear for their life. They're in fear for potentially losing their jobs, being called out. Trump now has that. Well, he already had it because he was elected, but he's got the DOJ with him. He's got the FBI. He's got the district attorney, the state's attorney. Well, not the state's attorney, but he has a U.S. district attorney. So a lot of people are afraid, but by the end of the year, you're going to start seeing a shift. Slowly during the summertime, you're going to see one or two people starting to switch over. Then we got the midterms next year, which you need to go out there and vote. If you live in a red state, y'all need to go out and vote and try to swing that a little bit. Not saying that, you know what I'm saying, you can still support your side or whatever, but if you want shit to kind of make a little bit of sense, then you want to kind of swing it, because we know that the Republicans, they can't make a budget by themselves. They've never done a budget that's been proper. It's never went through. It's always failed. The Democrats have always had to save them on that. But hey, everyone just looks at the top. What do they say? Oh, Kamala Harris, Joe Biden. But remember, the president and vice president don't really have any say so. It's all in Congress. The only way all of this is getting pushed through is because of Congress. Because if Congress was on the left, then they would veto all of these people that came in. Congress has the power. Now you got these executive orders, but you see that the judges are blocking some of these executive orders. But again, they didn't answer any questions on how they're going to help the farmers. All they're talking about is, hey, we're going to release more energy. We don't need energy. We already produce the most oil in the world.
I mean, the White House is arguing, in essence, that they were elected to do this, and that these policies are what what the American public more broadly want. How true is that for your members?
Well, I don't think there's a whole lot of truth to their statement. Blaming the past administration, I think, is an odd way to go. If you're in charge now, it's your job to take this on. I would say, though, that there are a lot of people who are very concerned out there who voted for this administration. But, you
hear them? Just like a lot of the farmers in the union, they voted for this. But what did he say? You can't blame the previous administration because you're in there now. That's because all these farmers, see, he's the union rep. Well, not the rep, but he's like the president. So for him, he's not an actual farmer. He's making his $150,000 a year. His $200,000 is coming in. But everyone in that union, they own his ass. Like, hey, you got to start speaking. Yeah, we voted for Trump, but you got to start speaking up for us. That's how it's going to turn once it gets to Congress. Everybody in the district is like, hell no, man. We done lost all our jobs and shit because of this food. So they going to start turning on Trump like, hell no, we got to do something to stop him. It's going to take a little while. That's why I say we'll get through it. It's all, like, it's going to be tough, but we'll get through it eventually. But you see all these union reps, because we know Trump and Elon, they don't like unions. But his ass, he voted for Trump too. And now he's out here. Man, I don't think you can blame the other administration. You in there now because reality is set. Y'all motherfuckers fucked up. And you screwed yourself over.
So they wrote it all down in Project 2025. I guess we should have paid a little closer attention.
When I did everything I'm explaining, he's now saying that shit. They broke it down in Project 2025. You should have paid a little. We paid attention to it. The people that didn't pay attention to it were the people that supported the dumb shit. You thought it was all, yeah, man, we're going to do our thing. See, I'm telling you, it's all going to eventually, it's going to be tough. It's going to be some fucked up situations. Of course, Trump is going to skate out of all of this because the Supreme Court is on his side also. But look at him. He's like, man, we probably should have paid more attention. We told y'all what the fuck they were doing.
To what was in that. I read the agriculture section. I know it better than I probably should, but it was there. It was all in writing. We probably should have paid closer attention to it. I'll just say this. I think it's time for this administration to recognize who put them into office and also to understand that these people are hurting, and this only adds to the hurt that they're already dealing with.
All right, Nick Lewandowski of the Kansas Farmers Union. Thank you so much, sir. Appreciate your time.
Look at you, Nick. You looking fucking pitiful. Now you got to get your dumb ass on here because everyone's on your ass. He said, I know the agriculture part more than anybody, more than I should know. Maybe we should have. Nah, ain't no maybe we should have, nigga. Maybe you should have paid closer attention and told the union workers what the hell they were talking about, Nick. This is on you, Nick. You the union president. I guess we should. Now, it ain't no we should have paid you. You were the union president. You should have told all the people in the union, hey, man, this shit ain't right, man. Don't vote for this motherfucker, man. Don't vote for this motherfucker. But nah, Nick, don't say we, Nick. You said you know it better than anybody, Nick. This is on you. That's why I told you to take your get to DC, Nick. Get to D. You fucked up, Nick. And now everybody is paying for it, Nick, because I'm pretty sure you was in there. Of course, you in the union. You ain't supposed to lobby people like, hey, man, we gotta vote for this. But yeah, Nick, on your off hours, you probably telling people, yeah, man, we get him back in office. It's going to be smooth selling for us. Damn, Nick, you done told on yourself. How you know all about Project 2025, but trying to say we should have paid attention? You said you know it better than anybody. You know more than you should know. Maybe you should have paid attention, Nick, or maybe you did, and they offered you some money, Nick. Now we got to do a deep dive on Nick's finances. We got to see how Nick Lebowski is living, because it seems like you took some money, Nicholas. You're not going to skate up out of this one. And now everyone in the union is like, fuck no, Nick, go speak up for us. Nicholas. Oh, yeah, see? This is how you become a suspect. Now we need to do. Now I got to do a little digging into this Nick character and find out how much he makes. If there's a possibility he took some money. What's up, William? Damn, Nick done told on himself. Nick said, "I know Project 25 better than anybody." All right, man. There we go. That's the farmers. There goes the farmers. Good old Saint Nick. What we got? What else we got, guys? I wanted to talk about the farmers. That's really all I wanted to talk about, because I was watching what they had going on. We got the terror, man. We got a lot of stuff. Doge is lying. They talk about, matter of fact, let me